Just a day after his inauguration, hundreds of thousands of women have marched in Washington and many other U.S. cities to protest against Donald Trump. It was a broad coalition of different groups, all of them united in their concern about the new president, his plans for America and for women in particular. Simon McGregor-Wood reports.
That's right, we built this. We built all of this.
They gathered where 24 hours earlier the inauguration had taken place. But this crowd was bigger. They were mostly women, but not all. And it wasn't just Washington. All across America's cities, it was a similar story. Hundreds of thousands of protesters coming together to demonstrate in New York, Boston, Chicago and Los Angeles, to name a few. City centers grinding to a halt. They were young and old, and many have never demonstrated before. Their placards show the issues on which they disagree with their new president.
The revolution starts here. The fight for the right to be free, to be who we are, to be equal. Let's march together through this darkness, and with each step, know that we are not afraid.
Picked up the Washington Post, and the headline read, "Trump takes power." I don't think so. Here's the power.
President Trump says he's the leader of a movement. This huge demonstration, its size, its message, just a day after his inauguration, shows you just how divided this country has become. It also shows you that President Trump's movement now has a counter-movement that promises to oppose his radical agenda every step of the way.
We have been violated, and we want to just let our voices be heard.
What he's putting out right now, the people he's bringing in to lead our country, it's terrifying.
We're out here so that he recognizes our voice and realizes that we are a voice and a force to be reckoned with.
He is nasty.
And you fear that
and
he is not?
And he's a pervert.
In Washington, delayed by the sheer weight of numbers, they eventually marched past the White House in the hope their message will be heard by President Trump. His defiant inaugural address on Friday did nothing to heal the divisions of the election campaign. Saturday's mass protests were a sign of the struggles that lie ahead. Simon McGregor-Wood, TRT World, Washington.
Many cities across the world also saw thousands of women marching. In London, people gathered at the U.S. Embassy. But as Sara Firth reports, plenty of men and many children hit the streets too.
Together they marched. This might have been called a women's march, but men, women and children were in the crowds. Their message, one of solidarity and unity.
There's a good feeling of togetherness, because we're all here supporting the same thing.
The banners ranged from the hopeful to the angry to the more humorous. But this march had a serious point to make.
Mr. Trump, we need you to pay very, very close attention. Women today are women agenda of conviction, vocation, and intellect. We shall not be spoken to in a derogatory manner. We do not accept misogyny in the office, in the Oval Office, in the boardroom, on the high street, at home, in the shops, in any format, except it's not acceptable. So we need you to learn, okay? It's not too late to learn. So please pay attention.
Some 700 marches, 70 countries around the world, and tens of thousands of people out on the streets here in London. Donald Trump might be president, but the people who are turning out at these marches say they're not going to let their opposition to many of his views be silenced. Sara Firth, TRT World, London.